Hi, Rooster. There's a chance that nobody's going to show up. Oh, Pitchfork showed up. I was afraid. Hey, my voice is kind of weird. I just swallowed wrong, and my voice is all kind of messed up. But hi, Pitchfork. Hi, Red. I was thinking, wow, what if nobody shows up? Excuse me, I got to clear my throat. Yeah, Red, I know. You were up late. You went to the, or you were up super early. You went to the airport. So, yeah, you're messed up. Your sleep's messed up. Hopefully, Knick-Knack will join us for horsepower and torque talk. But we'll see. Oh, there's 5 people here already. Hello, everybody that's here. I'm just killing time for a moment. I guess what I can do is start the music. Yeah, see now, this is showing more normal stuff. This is the kind of stuff that I look at these world events. Anyway, let me just go back to the chat so that I can see what's happening. In fact, maybe. This, and silence it. Bezzy, hi. Hey, Bezzy. I did not ride on 2 wheels today, so I can't brag about any riding. But I was going to talk about riding for a moment. Let me see how loud the music is. That's a little loud. There's better, might be too soft, but it's better at least. Oh, cool, Pitchfork, you made it to Idaho, and Bezzy, you got out for a little bit and you were working on your shed. That's cool. Nope, didn't ride. I know for shame. Hey guys, on the screen, is my video very fuzzy and goofy looking, or can you see me clearly enough? Lucas, yeah, how about it? Yeah, I started 2 minutes early just for the hell of it, but good to see you. Thank you for joining. Yeah, it was kind of embarrassing. It's like, what if you had a party and nobody came, or what if you called a war and nobody came? Yeah, Pitch, you cover some ground. You went from the Seattle area to Idaho, so that's some driving. In fact, we can take a quick look at what you just did, bro. Kind of powerful. It's easy to see this. So you went from the Seattle area, Seattle up here, right? Down to, not down to, over to Idaho. Oh, okay, I guess that's not quite as far as I imagined. I thought you had to cover some ground. No, that's kind of reasonable. So what was it, like a 6-hour, 8-hour trip? Pitchfork? So anyway, I guess I can just jabber about a couple of things real quick because some other people might trickle in. Let me just take a look. Okay, 7 down to 5. I did go for a bike ride yesterday. I rode 50 miles. The only excitement that I had was I was just kind of bumping along, ran into a friend right here, and then I picked it up to take a pull. He wanted to go slow, so we were going like 17 miles an hour here slow, um, and then I brought it up to about 20 miles an hour roughly, and then I left him. I was just bumping along, and then here a group came by, so I went to chase them. I turned around, I had to chase them down. I had to go like 25, 26, 27 miles an hour to catch them. I caught up to them and rode with them, and then had to chase them again. At this point here, I had to do some serious chasing. I got up to 31 miles an hour because it got gapped. It's a long story, but anyway, um, just real quick to brag a little bit. The furthest I've ridden is 274 miles in one day. I rode from my home in the Orange County area. I rode north and then across the width of California, and then over here to Las Vegas. So it was this one happened to be 263 miles, but I've done this ride 7 times, and my average speed is not too shabby, 17 miles an hour. That's actually kind of good for that kind of distance, and almost 11,000 feet of climbing. See the mountain profile, you got to go up some pretty big mountains, and then here you're going through the Mojave Desert. You go past Baker, which is very close to Death Valley, and then I rode to Big Bear to do this century, that Tour de Big Bear. And what was interesting about this is, though, I left at 1:30 in the morning and then zipped up there, and I had to climb up. You can see the climb I had to climb. So I had to ride about 65 miles just to show up, and I climbed about 7,000 feet maybe to get there to say hello. And then I'm riding with some guys in a group, and I was at the front leading, which is hard to do because you're cutting the wind at the front. And I said, hey, I should pull up. I have no business being at the front. And some guy was being good-natured ribbing. He goes, oh yeah, you can't pull it. I said, no, really, I rode my bike up here. So he couldn't believe that I rode my bicycle early in the morning up the mountain to get to Big Bear, and now I'm doing the century ride. He was just flabbergasted by that. And then he goes, oh my God. So after I finally convinced him that I did it, he goes, so how are you getting home? I said, well, I'm going to ride home. He goes, oh my God, you're going to ride home tomorrow? And I said, fuck no, I'm going to ride home today. What do you think? And this guy could not wrap his mind around that you could ride 60 miles and do the climbing and then do a century ride. Up here is 8,500 feet is the elevation, Onyx Summit. Right about here, he turned off to stop at a rest stop. Nice guy, not giving him shit at all. And he's a good rider. He wouldn't have been doing the ride anyway. You're up at elevation 7,000 feet for the duration of the century. But then, yeah, I rode my ass home. Boom, 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 boom. So 200 miles, almost 13,000 feet. And then some speed work. There's this group ride called Montrose, and it's out of Pasadena. And so what I do is I wake up at 5:30 in the morning, and I ride my bicycle 35 miles to the start. And then I do the 45-mile ride, but I don't just do it, I do it with authority. And then I ride my bike home 35 miles for a total of 115 miles. Okay, 114 this day, but usually 115. But here's what's interesting about this. I rode off the front with a couple of guys on this ride, which is really hard to do because there's a group of like 30, 40 riders, 50 riders, it depends. Oops, look, I misspelled went. It was hot this day. Normally I would never go through 6 miles of water. Yeah, for this distance. But this one time I did it, and 3 of us rode off the front, and I took a really good pull at 30 miles an hour to put some distance between us and the group. And so then I said, you know, I think we're going to be able to stay away. And the one rider, who's a pretty good rider, said, oh no, we'll never stay away. You need at least 5 or 7 riders to take turns taking pulls, you know, to rotate. And I said, I don't think so. I've ridden away solo 4 times, which I have. I ride my bike 35 miles up there, and then I go and I kick everyone's ass and just ride away from them. And I could have done it even more times, but I feel guilty and stupid, so I get away from them, and I'll stop and circle back and turn around, let them catch up, and then ride with everybody because I didn't show up to ride alone. But anyway, so then I'm taking pulls, and I was going about 26 miles an hour. And then finally at one of the stops, they go, Dean, you're killing us. You're killing me. I can't keep up. I said, no problem. I'll just do all the pulling, just sit on. So I slowed down to about 24 miles an hour, and I pulled them all the way for the remainder of the ride. And we finished about 5 or 10 minutes ahead of the group. And they were so thrilled and elated. You would have thought they won the lottery, because it's very, very rare to be able to ride off the front. You got to be a real stud to do something like that. And it's quite rare, especially when you got like 30 people that are all pretty good and they're working together, taking turns. How can you single-handedly take them on? But I've done it a bunch of times. Okay, so much for that. I was gonna show you a motorcycle thing now, not this. But before I do, let me check in on the live stream to see. Oh, okay. Pitchfork's looking at property. So Lucas says he rides his bike about a mile. Desi, you'd be fine, don't worry. I carry a patch kit and a pump, Lucas, and I sometimes carry an inner tube, but I actually rarely get flats, thank God, because I've got these Armadillo Continental tires, which are pretty resilient to flats. So I might get 3 flats a year, maybe. So anyway, yeah, I could go on bragging about riding, but I've only scratched the surface on what I've done on a bicycle. Look, I'm wearing my shirt that says "Never underestimate an old guy on a bike." So let me see, how many people do we have here, just so I can gauge real quick. What are we doing? Oh, we got 8. Okay, whatever. So here's something I want to show you guys real quick. I had this video. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I'm going to play this video of this guy at the gym that I met.
It's over 600 horsepower.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it's so it's a 1401.
Fuck!
Yeah.
I saw this bike, and what the hell bike is this?
That bike is pretty cool. It's a.
I saw this guy at the gym today. That's why I'm bringing this up.
Turbocharged, 600 horsepower, no rear brake, no rear.
Yeah, it's got no rear brake on the damn thing.
No rear brake.
Only a front brake.
And only one front rotor.
And only one front rotor too. Yeah,
This
it's
thing's
like not
made
even a
for
dual
going
rotor.
forward,
Holy shit,
not
right?
slowing down.
It's got the brakes of
Very
like a
cool.
Ninja 400 sort of.
All right, so here I am at the gym lifting weights, and I'm making friends.
This guy's name is Jordan.
Nice.
He knows what's going on the bike.
Yeah. Hello, gentlemen. I'm recording you because I'm going to turn you into the police. Oh boy. Just kidding you. So I noticed your bike out there. Mm-hmm. And could you do me the honor of explaining to me what the fuck is that bike made of? It's turbocharged. You got one front rotor. You got no rotor in the back. How the fuck can you have only one brake going on a bike like that?
That's it.
But what kind of bike is that?
It's
how do you stop?
It's a 2022 Hayabusa.
I thought it was a Hayabusa.
Yeah.
So somebody cracked it up and you rebuilt it.
Nope.
Okay.
Everything done to that bike is purposeful.
But it's like totally drag strip.
Roll racing. Yeah, half mile stuff.
Yeah.
So it makes just over 600 horsepower.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it's a 1401.
Fuck!
Yeah.
So you overboard the thing?
Stroke.
Okay.
It's stock bore. It's got a billet crank that's got 3 more millimeters of stroke.
Okay.
It's got a 62 millimeter precision turbo.
I was looking for the exhaust pedal. I'm thinking, where the hell's the exhaust pedal?
Yeah, straight up
I
the
noticed
side.
it in the front, and I noticed the turbocharger. I'm like, holy crap!
Yeah.
And I thought it was a Busa.
Yeah.
It felt like a Busa, but you can't tell because you changed the bearings.
It's the newest body style, so people aren't used to seeing them yet.
Oh, okay.
It's modeled on the
So I'm gonna
soft
jump
bearings,
ahead.
but
I'm in his live streams every night. He's going to be on.
Yeah.
There's a comparable guy in the U.S. His name is Crash Test Goat out of Houston.
I know who he is.
Okay, I'm in his live streams every night. He's going to be on in an hour. I'm going to join late. That guy rips on an R1 in a Ducati, and that guy's a real freaking deal. Have you seen his rides?
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's like 200 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. No,
but
cool.
I built that bike to go 250 in a standing half mile.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, 600 horsepower. Jesus Christ, that's a boost.
It does it on that wheelbase too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right,
It's
very
stretched.
good. Thanks. You guys are cool. Nice to meet you. Yeah. I'm on a puny Ninja 650, pedaling as fast as I can.
See, here's the thing. Here's what people that don't ride don't understand. They're all just as dangerous as the next one.
Well, yeah, no, of course. I mean, you can crack up a 300 easily.
Yeah. But like, I got my M1 when I was 16, so I've been licensed for 20 years.
Oh, cool.
And I started on
This guy's a real rider.
750 actually.
Oh.
And then 750 2-liter bikes, and then this is my 4th boost.
Okay, yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know what to. I couldn't really figure out, but this thing is
turns
pretty
a lot of
quick.
heads. It turns a lot of heads.
So
Yeah.
But
jump
all the way,
ahead.
your brake doesn't work. Thank you.
You can watch this video later if
For
you
a
want.
second to catch Crash Test Goat at 8 o'clock, but could you light that thing up for a second? I got it on video just to hear it, and I'm gonna share it with them.
Gotta go.
Boost, 25,
Makes 32.
25 second gear, and then what else? I forget the rest.
It's basically 15 in first,
Yeah.
and then 5 pounds every gear.
Oh,
He's
okay.
talking about the boost,
Gotcha.
the turbo boost. It gives more boost the higher up in the gears you go, which is smart.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what kind of bike it was because the fairings don't give it away, but it felt like a Busa.
The only Suzuki part left is the frame.
Holy crap! Yeah, I could tell it was all tricked out with, carbon fiber up the gazoo and the custom wheels and all kinds of shit. Very cool.
So yeah, nice guys. And then jumping over here. Never mind that. We'll look at bolts later, guys. Look at all this other stuff. He sent me a picture because I saw this guy today. So he's rebuilding it now. He changed the color scheme. It was white. I actually liked it better white. I thought it looked kind of cleaner, but this looks a little more menacing. And he's currently rebuilding the engine. Will be ready in a week or two, he says. And he said, yeah, let's go for a ride. I said, sure, we can ride. So, okay, let me check in on the chat just to do a sanity check because I've been sputtering and I haven't been paying attention to you guys. So Red's here. Okay. Yeah, the bike is long. It's stretched, Bezzy. I mean, it's not going to handle very well in the twisties. I mean, for your average rider, it'll handle just fine. But for the kind of zipping that Crash Test Goat does, that would be unacceptable because it's not going to handle well. But it's like super great for going a straight line, and it'll be hard to lift the wheel, front wheel, because it's stretched, you know. So you can really accelerate like a son of a gun. So let me go back here, and I'm just curious. I'm going to look for just a second to see how many people are here, if anything. Bum, bum, bum. 6. Okay, we lost 1 or 2. But hopefully Nick Nack will show up. If not, I'll just gloss over the torque stuff, and then we could give it another shot tomorrow. Maybe Nick Nack's busy with stuff. I can fly through this stuff. I'll just touch upon this, and then I might wait for feedback from Pitchfork or Bezzy or anybody that might have questions. But there's different types of engines depending upon what you're doing. Stationary is a big thing where weight doesn't matter, and you can pack as much equipment on. So like power plants, industrial purposes, ocean-going ships, anything that's fixed power output, not variable and not weight sensitive. That's one class of engine. And there's vehicles that move where weight is a little bit more of an issue. There's trains, and then trucks and cars and motorcycles and airplanes. And these engines, these applications require variable power. low power for going slow, intermediate power at around town, whatever, 35 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, and then high power output going at freeway speeds or going at like crash test goat speeds. And then there's performance emphasis versus efficiency, and then there's even top speed versus top force. So like semi-tractor trailer trucks need top force for moving heavy weight, but motorcycles want to have horsepower for top speed, and they've got less emphasis on torque, but you still care about torque. And so I'm going to just really blast through this. But horsepower is the rate at which work is performed, blah, blah, blah. Did you know that there's 2 different horsepowers, guys? In fact, there's 4 different horsepowers. There's brake horsepower that measures the raw engine power right at the crankshaft without any transmission losses. And then there's just horsepower, which is the broader term for horsepower at the wheel, which takes into account losses due to the transmission, and then whether you have like a chain or a belt or a drive shaft with a differential and all that kind of stuff in cars. But it gets even crazier than that. Hang on, we're going to look at men. It's my OnlyFans page that I was looking at. Let me just hold on while I zip around. I was looking at something, I was like, what the hell is going on? Why does some people references say there's 735 watts per horsepower when other ones say 746? This is what I'm used to. I was going to say 1 horsepower is 746 watts, and so that's like having, if you had a 100-watt light bulb using an incandescent light bulb, you're going to feel that heat wire. That's the power given off by a 100-watt light bulb. And if you had 7.5 of them, that would be 1 horsepower, 750 watts, basically 1 horsepower. So how the hell did they come up with 735 horsepower? Well, it turns out there's 2 different definitions of horsepower. The mechanical horsepower based on imperial whatever metrics, or imperial what's the word, terms, lifting 550 pounds per 1 second in English units. That's 1 horsepower, 746 watts. But there's the metric horsepower, which is used in Europe and many parts of the world, which is in German is called Pferdstark, which means horse power. Pferd, horse, stark, power, or the French word, whatever. And that is lifting 750 kilograms, 1 meter per second. So I was like, holy crap. Metric horsepower is 735 watts. I never knew that. I just found that out today. And then going to pop back up. And so the whole reason for having this discussion on torque versus horsepower is just because you know what horsepower you have doesn't tell you much about the engine. These 2 guys both weigh 230 pounds. I got them off the internet. But clearly they're going to perform a little bit differently from one another. This guy's 230 pounds, or let's say this guy's 230 horsepower, are going to be different from this guy's 230 pounds or 230 horsepower. And so I was going to say that, torque is the force pushing down on the piston across the distance of the travel of the power stroke. And I was going to relate it to different size caliber bullets. And there's some other stuff there. And what you really want to do, guys, what you really want to look at is your torque curve and your horsepower curve. And so I'm familiar with my bike, so I was using it as a reference. So it's got a maximum of 189 horsepower stock. This is showing the horsepower at the wheel, I think. Oh, plus, I forget where I got this from, but it's not precisely my bike. This is a CBR 1000 RR, but it's a different year, I think. It's like a year or 2 off. But it shows you the profile of the torque across the RPM range and the horsepower across the RPM range. And I had this epiphany about 2 months ago, guys, where I usually shift at about 7,000 or 8,000 RPM. Sometimes I'll go up to 10. I don't know that I've ever been over 10 thousand RPMs. Probably not over 11,000, but probably not over 10,000. So I've only felt 140 horsepower on my bike, and typically the most I feel is about 100 or 110 because I'm usually shifting down around here. I shift early. Yeah, I'm going to, I was thinking, it dawned on me, I can rev it out in first gear on the freeway and bring it up to 11 or 12,000 RPMs because the red line's at 13 and a half. It doesn't go to 15. I don't know why they show that. But I'm feeling most of the torque, even at 8 or 9,000 RPMs. You're feeling quite a bit of the torque. You're up in the mid 60s, which is significant. But to really feel what the engine has to offer, you got to get up to at least 10,000 RPMs. And so it's up in this range where stuff gets really interesting. I got to try that. Here's my good old Ninja 650, which I no longer have. Actually, this power and torque curve is for a Versus. I couldn't find a Ninja 650. My Ninja 650 had 67 horsepower and had 47 pound-feet of torque. But it had a kind of similar profile. The shape of this curve is a little bit different for the Ninja 650. The Versus is a little bit detuned to give you a little bit more solid low-end torque and to have just a little bit better fuel economy, and you sacrifice some performance. It's got a different ECU map, I guess. But you got to look at this to really know what the characteristics of your bike are going to be. And then blah, 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 blah. Then, this is something unexpected. I want to know what's the horsepower and torque of a F-35, which is the most powerful engine for jet fighters. And it's got 43,000 pounds of thrust with the afterburner, 28,000 pounds dry powder, military dry powder, but meaning no afterburner or whatever. And so there's a way to calculate what the comparable torque is, especially for the vertical takeoff, because you look at the shaft delivers approximately 30,000 horsepower to lift the fan, and if it's spinning at 10,000 RPMs, that equates to 15,750 pound-feet of torque. Can you imagine if you had 15,750 pound-feet of torque on your bike? I did a little comparison on things here. Forgive my jumping around. Maybe I'll sort things out to be more... So my bike will go about 200 miles an hour and it has about 200 horsepower. And so if you run the numbers based on thrust, velocity, you know, all that shit that we just went through with the F-35, I'm glossing over it. My bike would need to have 375 pounds of push to go 200 miles an hour. For the aerodynamics and the surface area of the bike, you need 375 pounds of force to keep pushing you through the air. And if you run the numbers, you know, revolutions per minute times torque divided by a constant 5,252, you know, with horsepower, working that backwards, it yields 80.8 pound-feet of torque to drive the bike at 200 miles an hour. Anyway, I was going to go into more detail on torque and horsepower if Nick Nack was here, but he's not. Let me just see where we're at. Yes, that'd be my... Yeah, Lucas, I've looked at that before, and it's like unfucking fathomable. 160 million horsepower. Can you believe it? Oh my God. Yeah, and you know, it's funny, Pitchfork. A duck motor in the ground is nice, but it's not very practical. Because, oh, Nick Nack! You're here. Good to see you, bro. No. Nick Nack, no apologies being late. Holy shit, man. This is so... But let me just look at the chat for a second. Most water-cooled internal engine only get about 9% energy. Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, you know, Lucas, it's pitiful, unfortunately, how inefficient most gasoline engines are. Yeah, so Lucas knows his stuff. Yeah, I make charts for stuff, Bezzy, you're right. I'm in and out. Yes, I'm. I wish. All right, since Knick-Knack is here, I'll touch just a little bit more upon torque. But I'm afraid I'm going to be guilty, Knick-Knack, of falling into this trap where if you can't dazzle them with your intellect, then baffle them with your bullshit. And so I have all these tidbits of information that are true and meaningful, and if you bring them all together, it creates this patchwork quilt mosaic to explain torque and horsepower, but it's a little bit disjointed. And I wish that I had a more succinct, quick summary, but you'll see in a minute. So I'm gonna do a half-assed job of explaining some stuff. So torque is force, pounds. Like if I had a dumbbell, I have a dumbbell around here somewhere, but it's very, very simple. Torque is nothing more than force. And that force traveling through a distance is going to be the amount of work that is done, and how quickly it travels that distance is going to determine the rate of work, and the rate of work is power. And you can express power in watts or in horsepower. And I know you know all this, Knick-Knack, because you probably you've probably taken a bunch of classes. I mean, you're a freaking RF engineer, and so no doubt you've had plenty of math and you had some physics and all kinds of other shit. And so it doesn't matter if it's a two-stroke or a four-stroke or a gasoline engine or a diesel engine. It all boils down to the surface area of the piston times the pressure pushing down on it. And now things get more complicated because there's a mechanical advantage, V2, V twins, V4s. There's a lever arm action that's a little bit different from if you have a parallel twin or if you have an inline four. So V engines have a little bit more torque because they got a slight mechanical advantage. But then it gets into all kinds of other complicated things having to do with like the stroke. The longer the stroke, the more torque you get and the more fuel efficiency you get. However, your RPMs are limited because you can't travel too long a distance. And so there's all kinds of shit that limits things that most people don't know about. And so I'm going to just touch upon this to the maximum RPM for almost any engine is 20,000 RPM, period. You might say, oh, what about electric cars? What about a Tesla plant? 20,000 fucking RPMs, that's it. You can do a Google search. Any higher than 20,000 RPMs, the thing flies apart due to the centripetal force. They use carbon fiber wrap and everything to hold together, but they only bring it up to 20,000, otherwise it'll disintegrate. And the fastest internal combustion engine, I think, was that tiny Suzuki two-stroke way back when, or was it a Honda? I forget. I think it was a Honda, I guess. But 20,000 is the most you can do. It's not really practical. Practical limits are about 13, 14, 15,000 RPMs for most engines. And the max speed for a piston is 90 miles an hour because the forces are so great. Because you got to think about it. When a piston goes up to the top, it stops dead. It stops. It's not moving. Now for only a split second, and then it starts to come down in the power stroke. It accelerates, then it comes down to bottom dead center, and it stops. It stops dead. It is not moving, and it starts to come up. It starts going boom boom. So you can see that up here. When it gets to the top, it's not moving, and then it accelerates and it gets to the bottom. So it's got maximum speed right in the middle. And whenever you're changing speed, a change in speed, change in velocity. I mean, I know I don't have to explain this to a lot of you. I don't mean to be insulting your knowledge of things, because you guys know this, but change in speed relative to time is acceleration. So the force is just fucking massive. Force equals mass times acceleration. And so the mass of the piston times whatever the acceleration is going to tell you the force. And if you go too fast, too high in RPM, the forces will be so great that it will literally destroy the connecting rod, destroy the crankshaft. The piston can shatter even. All kinds of bad stuff happens. And then, speaking of maximum velocities, the maximum muzzle velocity for most projectiles out of a gun is 3,500 feet per second. I've got my 308. For my 308, I got a sniper rifle. 2,850 feet per second for this baby. A 40 cal for my 40 caliber Beretta handgun, shorter barrel. I think it's about 600, 700 feet per second. It's pretty sluggish. You can almost catch it. No, I'm just kidding. Don't recommend it. And there's little 22. So look at the difference. Little 22. This would be like a 50cc bike, and this would be like a 600 class maybe. I have a 50 caliber bullet that I can't find, but that's basically like a Harley, sort of. And then there's this Avenger gun. This is what's shot by a A-10 Warthog. And then Iowa class battleships, they've got 16-inch barrels, but they can only go 2 RPM, 2 rounds per minute. Now it's going to pack a wallop when you shoot the thing. It's going to have a tremendous amount of torque, but you can only go 2 rounds per minute, or RPMs, for an Iowa class gun. And the muzzle velocity on an Iowa class gun is a paltry 3,000 feet per second. You might think, oh, it'd be 1,000,000 miles per second. No, sorry guys. What is the muzzle velocity of... Oh, I was wrong. 2,500 feet per second. So this 308 goes faster than what an Iowa class ship shoots a 16-inch projectile. Now the goddamn projectile weighs as much as a Volkswagen 2,700 pounds, and it can heave that thing 24 miles. Yeah, look at that, 24 miles. Oh hey.
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to the my motorcycle friends. I'm having a live stream.
And Gary too.
Oh.
Your brother?
He's not here, but he's going to probably be the one tomorrow. I'm just doing this for a little bit, like another 20 minutes.
Can they hear you talking right now?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. That's my wife. She's checking in on me to make sure that I wasn't having an affair with a woman, maybe. Anyway, you guys, the point is that there are practical limits of physics that constrain everything. And so people get so like crazy with stuff like, let me just show you, oops, filter by sort, where the hell are we, sort by date posted. Somewhere on here I had something about why don't they make cars that have, is it possible to design a car faster than F1, and why isn't it commonly done? It's a yes and no. You know, there's stringent restrictions on F1 cars, whatever. If you're willing to ignore the rules and pull out all the stops, you can easily go faster than an F1 car, but no, in the sense they're incredibly fast and optimized for performance. You know, the time, money, and skills to even match what an F1 car can do, even if you break all the rules. But then the fastest an F1 car has gone is about 235 miles an hour, which is pretty fast, but it handles well. And I was making the point that, you know, you can have a faster car, and the fastest that anyone's ever gone in a car is 763 miles an hour, and this jet powered thing doesn't handle worth a damn. You can't take a turn, so you'd lose if you're on a track. So it all depends on what you're doing. But people put too much emphasis on just one parameter, and they don't think about the net system. And so yeah, I was saying, yeah, it goes ultra fast. You can go faster than the speed of sound. That's actually faster than the speed of sound. And I wasn't making that shit up. But it handles like shit. It can't take a tight turn. It would get beaten by a stock Corvette on a track, which is pretty much true. Check this out. I gotta play this just so you can have some fun. It's an A10 Warthog. So you guys, you know what the difference between a machine gun and an internal combustion engine is? One shoots bullets and the other one shoots pistons. One shoots the bullet out and away. I had a minigun video too. The minigun shoots this round. Now it's a NATO 7.62. It's this bullet, and it's this casing, but it has a little bit higher charge for a little bit higher pressure. But for all intents and purposes, it's this bullet, and it shoots up to 6,000 rounds per minute. 6,000 of these babies in a minute. That's 10 a second. The recoil on this is pretty nasty. 10 of them at a time, I can't imagine. But I had, here we go, minigun. It sounds almost like those Ducati. So if you take the muffler off a car or a motorcycle, it's going to sound a lot like a machine.
He developed the Vulcan 6-barrel cannon, developed its smaller version with 7.62 caliber.
So let me take a breather and check in with everyone. It's kind of like Ellen DeGeneres had some joke once where she was saying, you need to check in like when you're with your partner. A piston, a typical... Yeah, no, Lucas, yeah. People don't realize the forces that are at work. Can you... Bezzy, it's a weed whacker. Yeah, you can mow the lawn with it and cut down the weeds, but your neighbors might not appreciate. Hey, Seth, it's good to see you. Hey, and we're up to 11 people. I don't feel nearly as much like a loser. Very good to see you, Seth, and hey, Nick. Does okay? Pitchfork is asking me, does gasoline deflag brigade? I think so. Yes, it burns basically. At some point, maybe not today if time permits, but yeah, Lucas, the idea, well, you know, I'll tell you, I have mixed feelings about hogs. I don't hunt. I used to plink rabbits in my yard with my little pellet gun, but I stopped doing that a number of years ago because I didn't like killing them, and I don't hunt, but I would hunt wild boar, and I would use my trusty 12 gauge shotgun to do it, because you know, you can take them out pretty well with the shotgun, and a 12 gauge shotgun really packs a wall up. But I can appreciate that it would be troubling to be shooting anything, any living thing with a gun, especially with like a freaking minigun. But wild hogs are a scourge, and they kind of need to be taken out, and there's usually no easy way to do that unless you go all the way. So let me just see where we're at here. So I was gonna show you this one thing because Lucas was talking about the forces on. Well, let me go over here. Look at this. Hang on with me for a moment, guys. Bear with me. I'm gonna go to here. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. This is what threw me. I said 235 and a half. That's not right. So then there's that. I learned some stuff about turbojets. there was something I was going to talk about with F1 cars where it talked about the speed of the pistons. Maybe I closed it. Here we go. It's thinking. What is the maximum speed in feet per second for a Formula 130 feet per second is the max. Now, so 130 feet per second is like sluggish as all get out compared to bullets, right? It's like a freaking slingshot. We'll do 130 feet per second. So 130 feet per second. Let's look that up real quick. What is 130 feet per second in miles per hour? Oops. Watch, we've got to go times 10. 89 miles an hour ballpark. So the piston is going in an F1 car is going 89 miles an hour at the midpoint. And you might think, oh, that's not tame. It ain't tame. Think about this, guys, because at well, how many RPMs is the engine going? Let's say 15,000. Oh, let's look it up because we're here, but you'll see what the forces are real quick. What is the red line of an F1 engine? I think it's 15,000. 15,000. Okay, there you go. Units. Okay, that's the max. They typically run at about 12,000 to 13,000. What is the G-force of a piston in an F1 engine at 12,500 RPM? It's thinking, so we don't have to. 5,000 grams. So 5,000 grams is about 13 pounds. That's a lot, but it's not. What is the G-force in pounds? Oh, okay, there we go. Oh, I was reading it wrong. So, okay, it's over a ton. That makes a little more sense because, wait a minute, that ain't right. And Lucas, you're probably having a conniption fit in the chat saying, what, Dane, you're full of shit? So yeah, at 12,500 RPM, a Formula One engine experienced a peak acceleration of about 5,000 Gs. Shit. Which translates to roughly 2,500 pounds over a ton on a component that only weighs a half a pound. So the damn piston, if you ever seen an F1 piston, they're tiny, and they're actually, they barely even look like pistons. They look like just the top head of a piston. Formula One piston. Check it out. Look at that. See, there's no sleeve to speak of. See that? It's just the top. I mean, these things are freaking built for performance. They got to be super lightweight because if they're any heavier, okay, Formula One piston. How about let's look at? I always like to do this Toyota Prius piston. I guess it's not appreciably different. Let's look at a Ducati Panigale piston. Kind of similar, actually. What about a 1957 Chevy? I don't know if they had 350s back then or 327s. Anyway, they're bigger, heavier, whatever. I'm going to say weight of a, thinking. So a pound, over a pound. Weight is in pounds because I don't like to think in, okay, 1.1 pounds. So more than double the weight of an F1 engine. But maybe it'd be better if I said weight of Yamaha R1 piston in pounds. Oh, well, it's smaller, that makes sense, but 0.44 pounds. And if we go like that, and do that, and look at a picture, there's what. Okay, so let me check in on chat, because Knick-Knack, if you have questions about torque and everything, go ahead. I'm not familiar with the Chevy 302. Oh, it's a D-stroke 327. I'm familiar with the 327. I did a valve job on a 327. I had one when it's one of my first cars, so I know that engine better than I'd like to admit. But why do people stroke engines then? You know, I'll tell you, you get a little bit more fuel economy out of it, and you get a little bit more torque. And in a roundabout way, it actually changes the engine to be less of an Otto cycle engine to an Atkins cycle engine. And so let's do a quick look, whatever. What is the difference between an Otto engine and an Atkinson engine? And so I can tell you now, an Otto engine is going to be more performant, an Atkinson engine is going to be more fuel efficient because it has a long stroke. Let's take a look. Atkinson, I told you, optimizes fuel efficiency by having a longer expansion stroke. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Than the compression stroke, and they do that with variable valve timing. They used to do it with some freaking contraption that was like, talk about a Rube Goldberg. But this is very interesting, guys. Depending upon where you have the lobes of the camshaft, on the camshaft, it will determine, obviously, the characteristics of the engine to be more efficient or less efficient, and it can simulate an Atkinson engine. And let me show you how weird this is. I'll show you what the original Atkinson engine is. Images. This thing, the original Atkinson engine. I wanted a GIF. Damn it. Here we go. GIF, whatever. I'm not sure, guys, but I don't think that this engine, this contraption, would have a red line anywhere close to 20,000 RPMs. I don't think you could get even close to 10,000 RPMs to the engine. I'll tell you right now, this damn thing wouldn't even hit 3,000 RPMs. But the original concept was to have a very short compression stroke and a very long expansion stroke, combustion stroke. See how long that combustion stroke was? So, but obviously this is a freaking Rube Goldberg. You guys don't remember, most of you don't even know what a Rube Goldberg is, guys, because I'm older than sin. What is a Rube Goldberg machine, or device or contraption? It's a deliberately over-engineered contraption designed to perform a simple task in an intentionally roundabout, comical way. It uses a chain reaction of everyday objects, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, that's from way back when. It was a cartoon from like the 1920s. That was before my time, actually. But like, okay, 1914. I get everything wrong. You can't trust me, guys. Anyway, but by changing the timing, you could put a race cam in an engine, or you could have a cam that's optimized for performance, or a cam that's optimized for fuel efficiency. And Honda's VTEC, it's actually freaking cool, guys. You got to hand it to Honda. They know their shit. Or at least they kind of do. It's got two different camshafts, and they're engaged differently by hydraulics. So, see, okay, it's got two sets of lobes. It's got one camshaft, but it's got two sets of lobes, and depending upon which rocker arm is engaged, you can optimize for good fuel economy and smooth operation, or you can go for both of them and you get higher engine output, but then you sacrifice performance. So it's very, very ingenious what they did, and they've got not only dual, but they also have freaking triple. Look, here's a triple. see this? I mean, it's like transmissions. When automatic transmissions came out before I was born, barely. But when I was a kid, there were only 2-speed automatic transmissions. Then they had 3-speed. Wow, now we're talking. And then 4. Wow. And now they got like 6 or 12 speed. They've got 6, 8-speed, 10-speed transmissions. How many forward gears? How many speeds are automatic? 10. No, I don't think there's 24 speed. How many speeds do the most modern car? 8 to 10 speeds. That's a lot. So I was joking around saying maybe they would have like 10 rocker arms, 10 lobes per cylinder. That's kind of ridiculous. I don't do that. But I don't know if this is dual or triple. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's kind of ingenious what they did. All right, let me check in with the live stream so that I can see what you guys are saying. Oh, sorry, I'm ignoring comments. Doesn't Honda have a variable speed transmission? You know, Pitchfork, they do. It's called what the hell is it? Continuous variable transmission, but they suck. Can you post it? Oh, yeah, Knick-Knack, I can do that. Yeah, I see what you're saying about. Yeah, it's a Word file. I'll just post it somewhere, or I could email it to you or something. Yeah, I thought a 302 was a Ford also. In fact, let me just look here. What car company made the 302 inch? Well, they're saying Mustang. Cubic inch. 302, Ford Motor Company. Small block. The Ford Boss 302. Introduced to compete with the Trans Am Racing Series. That was before cars turned shitty in the early 1970s with the oil embargo and the emphasis on fuel efficiency and emissions, and everything went to hell for a while until technology caught up and was able to overcome stuff. So, yeah, so go back to chat so that I can respond to comments. Yeah. Hey, you know what the best ice cream ever invented, I think, is cookies and cream. Hey, we're almost out of time. So I'm going to say a couple of things about transmissions real quick, about drive things. I've taken so much shit from some motorcycle riders when I talked about the hell, verify you are a human. I'm a human, damn it. I think so. There's if I'll try to find the link, but or the post that I had. But anyway, drive shafts waste about 9% of the engine's power. And I'm talking about drive shafts on a motorcycle. That's why you don't see them on any high-performance motorcycles. Have you guys ever wondered why you don't see drive shafts on super bikes? It's because they rob almost 10% of the goddamn power. And so you find them on sport touring bikes that have big engines and they got power to spare and they're not really out for performance, they're out for long miles and convenience. And so drive shafts make perfect sense there. And you might say, what about belts? Belts consume about 3% of the horsepower of an engine, which isn't that much different from a chain. A sealed chain consumes 2% of the horsepower. And then a regular chain with no seals, which they use in MotoGP, 1% on the drivetrain with the chain. So unsealed chains, 1%, sealed chains, whether it be X-ring, roll ring, 2%, belt 3%, drive shaft 9%. But you guys, these motherfuckers on the touring bikes with their drive shafts, they got their panties in a bunch thinking that you're right, Lucas. Drive shafts also affect the dynamics of the handling of the bike. Yeah. Now, my brother had a Yamaha. What the hell was it? A 700 or 800, something like that, way back, and it had a drive shaft. That was way back when. But anyway, I'm not bagging on them. There's trade-offs. There's engineering trade-offs and everything. There's good things and bad things about everything. Oh, Bezzy's got an ice cream machine. That's cool. I bet you homemade ice cream is fantastic. Plus, you know that it's legit and it's not messed up. So I'm just looking at the chat. Nifty. Shaft drive backs. I guess so. I'm not really into them though. It's not that hard to. Swapping chains is pretty simple, guys. Real quick, how many of you have swapped chains? I've swapped chains on my motorcycles 3 or 4 times, and on my bike, like 20 times at least. It's not that tough to adjust a chain or change a chain. Oh, so we're at 9 o'clock, so let me just go over here to I'm lost. Oh, live stream topics, there it is. I was going to ask you guys real quick. I was going to make this analogy: power, horsepower is power, and power can be achieved by volts times amps. That tells you the power. And so I was going to make some analogy between volts being like horsepower and amps being like torque, but it kind of breaks down. It doesn't really hold true because whatever. So I wanted to ask everybody real quick, and you can say in chat, what would you like to see tomorrow? Do you want to talk about different types of engines as far as performance, efficiency, gasoline, diesel, electric, jet engines, high bypass engines, rotary engines? Or do you want to talk about turbochargers versus superchargers versus normally aspirated engines? Do you ever scratch your head and wonder why most motorcycles are not supercharged or turbocharged? And there's only one bike from manufacturer that's supercharged, and that's the Kawasaki H2. And there are 0 bikes that are turbocharged except for aftermarket. But I don't think there's any factory turbocharged motorcycles, should I say. And there's actually no reason, because you got more damn power than you know what to do with a naturally aspirated engine. There's just extra weight, extra cost to accomplish something that you don't really need, because most people aren't even using all the power that their bike has to offer in the first place. But there's trade-offs: fuel efficient, and they're more performant. But superchargers are great off the line. They have their place. And you know what the best of both worlds is? An electro turbocharger. It gives you the benefits of a supercharger with, it's like a hybrid motor to spin it up off the line, and then you get the harvest the exhaust energy to turbocharge. It's kind of cool. Or do you want to talk about business and immigration? And I'm not going to talk about political stuff with immigration, although I am disappointed with all of our politicians for the last 20 years have just been talking about immigration reform to make it smoother for people, but they don't. Nothing happens. Do you guys have a preference, or is there some other thing? I'll say other. is there some other topic? And then we'll wrap up because I said I'd only go for an hour. So I'm going to look at the chat to see what you all say. Yeah, I've only changed rear sprockets twice. Oh, Pitchfork says all day. Good night, Bezzy. I'll work on my James Dean impression, Lucas. All right, so you guys could send me a comment in Goat's Discord if there's a particular topic that you're anxious to see or whatever. But I'll wrap it up and then we'll see what we talk about tomorrow. We could discuss the B-36. So Lucas, be careful because I can talk about military World War II military planes. I have a bunch of answers that pertain to that for like the Merlin engine that was used in the P-51 or the German planes. Although that particular one that you're talking about, I don't know the exact things about it. Look, I talk about changing the main tire on an F1 Phantom. Sorry, F4 Phantom. Anyway, I'll try to put together a conglomeration of here's something R15 engine using today's materials. Anyway, I'll wrap up the stream and hopefully see you guys again tomorrow. All right, thanks for attending, everybody. I'll sign off. Bye-bye. I can figure out how to turn this baby off. Okay, end stream. So long.